Hello, YouTube. I'm Vince White. I'm an employment attorney, and I am back from Miami. My cough got better in Miami, but now that I'm in New York, it's making a resurgence. Might be the cold air. I don't know. Um, we're doing a bit of a reaction video today, which I don't think we really ever do. But a longtime viewer of the channel sent me this video, and it is of a Cloudflare sales employee, I believe, as far as I can tell from the video. And it went a little bit viral. Some news programs picked it up. The Young Turks picked it up as well. I don't know if they're really a news program. They're like a kind of an opinion program. Um, an editorial, I guess, would be the better. It's like an editorial talk show. Um, and it's really a video, which I will link in the doobie doo down below, of what appears to be a young sales professional. And I stress young, not people are gonna be like, you're being sexist, you're calling her young. No, I mean, inherent bias is real, but in this particular case, it's I'm saying young more because there seems to be a lack of knowledge about how like the sales industry works. And I don't work in sales, but I represent a lot of salespeople at a lot of different levels, and I have a lot of experience litigating their exits from employment, right? So essentially, her frustration in this video seems to be twofold, and she's super well spoken in how she makes her arguments. Um, it's just the arguments sound good, but in terms of substance are a little bit lacking if you know the industry. So basically, her take is like, listen, you hired me. I had a 3 month ramp, which is like think of it as like a probation period, like getting free money while you're a salesperson before you actually need to make a sale. And that makes sense because it takes time to build a pipeline for sales, right? So anyway, she was on this 3 month ramp for Cloudflare to sell whatever their product is. And a 3 month ramp is kind of short, if I'm being honest. So that says to me that maybe the product she's selling is not that expensive or has a high rate of being sold. Like there's a lot of churning of the sales. Because generally I see a lot of like 1 year ramps in what I do in my clients. So that short ramp window is meaningful in terms of what it says about the product. Now, so she gets a 3 month ramp, and she seems to argue she's only 1 month out of her ramp, although it actually sounds like, based on what she says in the video, she's reducing her period of time outside the ramp because there were some holidays, and she doesn't think those periods of time during the holidays shouldn't count for her time out of the ramp, I guess. Seems to be the argument she's making a little bit. So her argument is like, listen, I'm new here. I had my ramp, and I had great activity during my ramp, great sales activity, which is like, think of that as like touches with potential clients and like meetings and calls, and like they often log that because there's a whole class of sales professionals who just take ramp money or take draws and then like try to do as little as possible and then move on, right? To a new company when their draw or their ramp runs out. And in no way am I accusing her of that. I'm just explaining what's going on here. So she's like, listen, my activity is good, which means essentially her touches with potential clients have been high. It's been good. And her manager has been effusive in his or her praise, right? Like, you're doing great, no criticism here, doing swell, like a cheerleading manager, which is always, believe it or not, one of the worst managers in terms of a job where you need to hit metrics. Like the cheerleader manager is not the one who's like really got your best interest at heart. Cheerleader managers are like, you're doing great, change nothing. And then kind of like here, 6 weeks later, you're getting fired. What do you mean? You didn't sell anything. You didn't hit the metrics. Well, but my manager says I'm great. Sure, your manager's an idiot. Right? The manager doesn't care. The manager's phoning it in. And maybe the manager will keep her or his job if other salespeople did hit the metrics. Maybe not. We'll see. We don't know. So those are both valid points. She's like, my activity is very high. That's a great argument. It sounds really good. I've been trying a lot. Awesome. Here's the problem with that. Excuse me. Activity doesn't really mean that much because it's super easy to fake. It's also super easy to make activity just kind of like fun. You'll see a lot of farmer reps have activity. Like, yeah, I went to drinks with this doctor. I went to drinks with this office manager. I went to... Okay, so you went to drinks 6 times this week. I don't know. Maybe you just like to drink. Like, you didn't close anything, right? Like, that's not that great. So activity is meaningful when you work in sales, but it's meaningful as like a save you metric sometimes. Like, okay, you didn't sell anything, but we really believe in you. We believe in you so much. And because we believe in you so much, and because we can tell you're staying busy, because you got good activity, we're going to give you a little more time. That happens. Happens often. Did not happen here. And that's the point she's making. But we don't know that much about the product. I don't know what Cloudflare sells. I don't know what Cloudflare's finances are like, right? Like, if Cloudflare's like, listen, our average salesperson, by the time they hit month 5, which is what it sounds like this person's actually in, so ramp is done, maybe 2 months out of ramp, 1 month out of ramp, our average salesperson closes 5 deals by this point. You close 0 deals, right? And she admits that. I didn't close any deals, but I have great activity, and my manager was really positive. Yeah, one of those 3 things sounds really important. You didn't close any deals. There's not too many people who work in sales who think they're going to keep their job in sales closing 0 deals. 0 deals in the relevant period, right? That's not generally how that works. Now, I agree with her frustrations. That manager sounds like that manager sucks. Consensus on that point. But I don't know that that's a reason why you would expect a company, an employer, to keep a non-selling salesperson. It depends on the product. Listen, there's products where like there's no chance you're going to get a sale in the first year. Those products tend to be very expensive, very complex offerings, right? Now, the next thing this employee takes issue with is the idea that she is not being told why she's being fired. That's you're an at-will employee. Defense counsel, employment defense counsel is going to tell employers, hey, don't give a reason as to why you're being terminated. But this employer, Cloudflare, actually didn't listen to that advice or didn't receive that advice. I don't know. They actually come out and they're like, listen, your performance doesn't match. We're going to let you go. And she's like, why aren't you telling me why? In the video, it's very clear. They're like, very upfront, they're like, your performance isn't what we want. We're letting you go. And, I mean, her response to that is, why aren't you telling me why? They just did. They wanted sales. You didn't make sales. So, I'm confused by your question. Right? Like, I don't understand. And then she goes on and she asks why another employee was terminated. And so they've got 2, like, I think termination specialists, essentially, like running through people, firing people. And they're doing these meetings. I think it's like a Zoom meeting. It looks like she's in her home working remotely. Which is another reason why I think they probably have a heightened criteria, heightened metric for performance, right? People are working at home, companies often get suspicious, nervous. We're paying these people. What are they producing for us? And there is a certain risk when you're working at home. If you're not producing, the employer will often freak out more readily on you and take corrective action much sooner than they might if you were in the office and there was more of a relationship with your manager, right? So she's working at home. I think she's on a Zoom call with like 2 termination specialists. And she's like, I want to know why this other employee was terminated. And they're pretty gracious about it. They're like real professionals in terms of what they do. But like the answer to that is, that's none of your fucking business. You're not that person. We're not going to talk to you about this person. You don't run this company. You don't decide who gets... And she might be right. This employee might be right. She might be the best salesperson in all the land. Although I suspect maybe not, because she's like posting this video and doesn't seem to understand the industry. And that other employee who got fired, that person might have been the second coming of Jeebus, god of con artists. The greatest seller of all time, who just happened to maybe not sell the Cloudflare product. And Cloudflare might be stupid. Cloudflare might double the size of its company and triple its sales if it would just keep these 2 salespeople. She could be correct. Companies are often stupid. But that's why companies like at-will employment. So they're allowed to be stupid. They don't get in trouble for being stupid. They do get in trouble for workplace discrimination. They get in trouble for workplace sexual harassment, for retaliation. There's a number of things they can get in trouble for, but incompetence isn't one of them. Cloudflare might be incompetent. These termination specialists don't sound incompetent. They sound like they're very good at their job and they're following a script and they're trying to defend the company from liability, right? So she's like, why was this person fired? And instead of them being like, none of your fucking business, they're like, yeah, we don't know. Which, I mean, the real answer here is we don't talk with employees about other employees and why other employees were fired. And then the last thing this employee takes issue with is, why are you doing this instead of my manager? And they're not gonna. They're like, we understand your frustrations. They try to like mirror her and like make her feel heard and like engage in like really annoying tactics to like take down the tension in the conversation. And those tactics are smarmy and patronizing and awful, but they're also like the only tactics that these people are trained in. Right? Like this is their job. Like there's a movie about that. Like I think George Clooney plays a role in some movie where he's like the termination specialist, right? And it's all about making people feel heard and lowering the tension and helping them to exit, right? He's the caring termination specialist. But that's not really a job. When you're a termination specialist, the job is to follow the script, to limit liability to the employer, handle the termination as per best practices, and get the person out. And that's kind of what these people did. And she's like, why are you doing this instead of my manager? 2 reasons. 1, your manager sounds like a moron. You have made a great argument, Cloudflare employee, as to why your manager is a moron. Many middle managers are, in fact, morons. Yours sounds like a major moron who is way dumber than anyone else involved in this interaction, right? Like we don't get to know anything about the manager, but I fully take this employee's word that the manager was just like, you're doing great, right? And she is rightfully angry that she never received the counseling or the like performance improvement plan or any kind of remediation on what she's doing. Where the manager's like, listen, at some point the manager's got to come in and be like, listen, I get it. You're only out of your ramp a month, but like by now we do expect a sale. And you can say that's fair or unfair, but that's kind of irrelevant. That's the gig. Somebody's going to make a sale, and that person's going to keep their job. So you got to make a sale. Like, that would be a valuable thing for that manager to have said, both as like a human being and also as a manager who cares about the company, right? Instead, that manager was conflict averse and like just was like, "You're swell, you're doing so great, Cloudflare employee." Which is stupid. That's just bad management, right? So that's really the answer. Like, hey, we're doing a lot of layoffs because this is sales and there's a lot of turnover, and your manager's dumb as all get out, and so we don't trust your manager to do lots of terminations. So we're not going to have your manager do lots of terminations. We're going to have some people who don't know anything about the situation, who have been handed some paperwork telling them to fire you, and they're going to do it because that's what they do all day, every day, or at least a lot of their day, right? They might have other jobs in HR, but it sounds like their role is primarily to like move people on out of the company. And I mean, the answer is because we do this a lot, and we're trained in best practices in terms of limiting liability of the company, and that's why we're here instead of your moron of a manager. And frankly, we're glad that we're the ones that are here because it seems like you are very agitated and taking issue with our decision in a way that could negatively impact the company or like maybe start litigation or something. And they weren't wrong because it appears this person posted this video to TikTok. And I'm not linking to the TikTok. I'm linking to a YouTube video. If someone has the TikTok, like I want to credit the original poster, although I actually think it's really bad for her. Like posting this is probably not great for her sales career. Maybe she's done in sales. I don't know. Maybe she's had enough of the industry and she's going to move on to something else. I don't know. But like, if this video keeps making the rounds and it's, done well for itself on the internet, like this, like I'm looking at all the videos of this video, like Matt Walsh, the Young Turk, like it's really been picked up. And all the hiring managers and all the sales departments who watch this video and then have her resume hit their desk are gonna probably not hire her because now they know she doesn't really understand the industry, first and foremost, and she's totally down to embarrass you if she doesn't like what you're doing. Not a super exciting and alluring mix for a new hire in a sales department, right? Like that's not going to be thrilling for them. And they're not really going to be liable because she didn't engage in any protected activities. She didn't like make a complaint about some protected class or some kind of unfair. She just was like, I don't like at-will employment and I don't think it's fair. Okay. Sure. Yeah, I mean, listen, take that up with the legislature in your home state. Take it up with the federal government, whoever you want, but like that is the law of the land, and unless you're in a union or you have tenure, something like that, that's generally how most Americans work, and it's certainly how most sales professionals work. And making yourself insta-famous for a week or two because you're mad at a singular employer who's doing what every other employer will be doing in this industry, it's not going to be great for your job prospects, right? Listen, this woman's very smart. She's also very frustrated. She makes the people on the other end sound like idiots. The problem is, everyone in this industry is kind of aware those people on the other end had to sound like idiots because their job is to say nothing besides, hey, you're done here. Here's the dealio. And if they see some liability, they report it up the chain. But basically, They're trying to say as little as possible to not create liability, not create a litigation of some kind, and get the person out. That's the gig. So if you're like, haha, I made those talking heads on Zoom sound like idiots, everybody else heard them doing their job, following the script, following the best practice. And no one's like, score, zing. It's just, okay, you're really frustrated. It seems like you didn't really understand the game you were playing a little bit. And if you're going to stay in sales, you may want to try and understand the game. And also, like, if you're going to go viral, don't go viral on TikTok. Like, TikTok Fame is near worthless. Like, it's not valuable compared to, like, other platforms. Like, TikTok, it's just not going to pay the way other platforms pay. It's easier to get views, much, if you can game the algorithm. But it's not like you can spin TikTok Fame as often into a lifetime of earnings. That is more challenging on TikTok, as I understand it from professionals who do this stuff, than any other platform. Well, actually, that's probably not true. It's probably way easier than like a Snapchat or something like that. But like, it's a lot easier to make money on like Instagram, YouTube, whatever. So like the idea this was posted to TikTok as like a gotcha. Now I'm gonna be TikTok famous on the tiki-taki. Like, okay. That's not. And I understand. Like, first and foremost, I'm talking primarily about like ad revenue from the service itself. Like the dollars per view that you get on TikTok are exceptionally low. Whereas the dollars per view on YouTube, I think, are the highest in the industry. And I say this as somebody who like YouTube's a bit. Like, I'm making, $1,500-$1,600 a month on like 70,000 subs, like 100,000 views. That's wild. That's like nutty that YouTube feels the need to give me that much money on like 100,000 views or whatever it is. 100,000 views on TikTok. I mean, I don't know. I'm talking out of school here, but like $48. Like, I don't really know. Obviously, I don't know the math, but it's like worth a fraction of what you would get on YouTube. So clearly there's other ways to make money. She might be like a famous person, like a TikTok mastermind who does like brand deals, and maybe this was worth it for her. But I kind of suspect maybe not, because why did she have the sales gig then, and why is she so agitated? Rightfully so. I mean, I get why she's agitated, but like, why is she so agitated about losing the job if she's TikTok famous, right? And the people who get brand deals on TikTok, that's somewhat rarefied air. I mean, listen, you can get someone to give you a product if you want to make a video, but like, you can have like, I've seen people with 5,000 viewers get free products. Like, that happens. That's a reality. But like, in terms of making real money on TikTok, like, you need deep views, like real deep. You need to be on top of that algorithm to get any kind of real coin in your pocket from TikTok Fame. So I suspect this person was doing it primarily because they wanted to feel vindicated, and that feeling of vindication, it's probably pretty empty, because I think a lot of sales professionals are like, what are you doing? That's not how the game works. Did you not get the rules of the game? So like, that's a bummer. Anyways, I hope, listen, very, very clearly an incredibly intelligent human being who might just have been kind of new to the sales industry. And I hope this misstep, if she wants to stay in sales, doesn't ruin that for her. But anyways, I thought I would try. This is my first reaction video to another video. I think. I don't know. Maybe not. Maybe not. Who can remember? I do a video every day. Anyways, if this was entertaining, let me know, and I will do more of these. If it wasn't, let me know. If you didn't like it, hit the don't like button. I get it. If you liked it, you can hit the like button. It's I'm very pro-employee on this channel. Like, I really obviously got in this business to help employees. That's what I do for a living. But the like gotcha nature of this video and the lack of knowledge kind of inherent in the video make me cringe, make me sad. And I gotta be upfront, like, this just doesn't, in the context of this industry, this doesn't make any sense at all. And you can argue, well, the industry should be different. Yeah, maybe, probably. But if that's true, start a sales-based business and do it different. And show people how you slay at your doing it differently sales-based business, right? Like, prove them wrong. Until that's done, they're going to just keep doing whatever they think works for them. And, like, maybe Cloudflare will go under because it's dumb. Maybe. I don't know. I don't know anything about Cloudflare besides it's, like, tech stuff, and they have a product, and they have a short ramp. Take care, everybody.